another long weekend edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Cafe coming to you now. I love having a Monday where it's nice and sunny, don't have to work at all, and the only thing I have to worry about is fiddling around in some gardens. And funny enough, just when you think you're all caught up on your gardening, I found out that the stores near me actually got a little refill of dill. Like, dill is one of the basic elements of pickles, so that's why I want to have a nice supply of it, but it seemed to have been sold out everywhere I went. Did everybody this here suddenly decide they want to make pickles? Did they realize too that dill mixed with mashed potatoes is excellent? Are they trying to hoard it the same way as they hoard the toilet paper? Somebody help me out. So while I'm waiting to do a little bit of a end of weekend grilling and wrapping up things, I thought, let's make a little reno project over here too. Have a little repair I gotta do on a gate slash fence over here. So I'm thinking that while I get started on that, I'm going to need to get a little bit of coffee going to give me the energy, because coffee for me is what spinach is for Popeye, gives it strength, and hopefully not abnormally large calf muscles and the forearms, because that would be very awkward. So let me finish this, and then we shall jump ahead. And here we are on the side of the house. So the gate over here, I probably mentioned it a while back, but this is actually one that I built from scratch. Like one of my first, actually second major DIY projects when I really got comfortable working with power tools. Thing is though, it ain't perfect, gets the job done, but there is some touch-ups I can do. For one thing, this latch over here, the one that I picked up was a powder-coated steel. Only issue with that is that when you scratch off the paint that's on here, then that exposes the rest of the steel and makes it a lot easier to create rust and eventually fall apart. I know because it's actually happening on some parts over here too. And also it doesn't look like it's lined up properly anymore. Of course, there could be a couple of options and reasons for it. One being, it wasn't aligned properly over here originally. And two, this side looks like it just needs a little bit of work. But this has less to do, I believe, with the steadiness of the rest of this fence, and probably just a little bit of tightening up. Bear with me for a second. I guess like part of the reason for this shaking is also because of the support on this. No, I didn't make the same mistake everybody did. What I have bought over here is a heavy-duty stake. This one, well, I guess I can give you a small visual of it. I picked up one of these because I thought I had a small project coming along in the future. Typically, people are going to be building fences. They're most likely going to get these because they're easy to install and affordable, economical, and if you got to do maintenance on it, then it's actually not that hard to fix up. But the issue is that I'm pretty sure a lot of people will build a 6-foot fence with this, or maybe a bit taller than that, but that goes against the specifications on it. Because on here, on the Eco Spike, there is a little note that says only for smaller fences up to 60 inches. That's only supposed to be 5 feet high then. These aren't really designed to be so high. So I think that's one of the reasons for a failure rate. If you're going to see them tipping with these stakes, this will be the culprit. But what they do make, are the ones that I picked up, they're heavy-duty stakes that they're actually able to support up to 84 inches, so a 7-foot high fence. That was what you really need to do, because you'll notice compared to the stake here, they're actually really thick and go down deep enough. The catch though is it's a bit more costly. These sometimes you could get for maybe 10 to 15 bucks. These heavy duty ones, no matter what, they're gonna be about 36 bucks. You know, you pay more for it, but you pay a little bit more so it's actually sturdy. So, ideally I would probably tighten the nut on here to make sure it's stable, but this seems to be a little bit rusty, so it's a bit tricky for me to do. So I'm gonna be doing something else. Let's see if I can find this on camera. Yeah. So my goal here is I'm going to put this extra stake right on this spot here and then hammer it down, create another pole or another post that I can attach to this fence, and then it'll give me a little bit of stability here to kind of hold it in place. And this one, yes, I'm going to use, because the stake that I have in mind to put this in is only going to be around, I want to say like maybe 1.5 feet. You know, nothing too major, just enough that this is going to be able to support. So, first thing I got to do, I need to get, I'm probably going to use this stake that I'm going to use, as well, a driving stake is what it's called. You just put this in, like this, then you put your piece of wood inside here, and then you get a sledgehammer to hammer it in. That way you drive it into the ground. Fun activities. You need a driving stake to get a steak in. Steak on steak activity. Speaking of which, I am having steak tonight. Great. A chunk of wood went flying by. Lovely. That's just what I needed. Okay, this thing looks pretty stable, so next, what you do with these stakes is once it's all hammered into place, you just have to tighten up the stake so that the vise on here is going to be able to hold this piece of wood in place. You just really need an open-ended wrench on this, and then that should be able to do it. Okay, almost at the end here. That should be tight enough. There. Solid as a rock. Or as solid as it's going to be. So now that I have my steak over here with a little bit of chipping, still can't believe that actually happened, time to get a little bit of support in between both of the beams. So for added stability, I'm just going to be using these extra brackets I had for when I was building the fence in the first place. So I'm going to be putting it like right up here, low on the bottom, just give myself a bit of support to put it into. And to get them in, I'm using 2-inch decking screws. Oh, and thankfully, I just need a Robinson bit for this. Thankfully, I don't have to use a Phillips head. Gotta hate Phillips. There, in here. So. I want it like right around here. So I'm just going to start getting this in. But I'm not going to tighten it up just yet, because I want to make sure this is aligned properly. Except when that happens. Here we go. This one's in tight. Now I gotta do one more on the bottom and then I can get my other wood set up. Sometimes it does pay off to be having extra pieces of wood laying around over here. Based on the number of projects I've done around here, I've got some extra 2x4s that I'm gonna be adding on to this. And I'm just gonna cut it off just enough so that this is gonna fit in place. And hopefully with a little bit of compression, be able to push this up a bit. So like around here, I have my mark right now. What I'm doing here, because I'm going to be using my square to trace the line that I'm going to need for this. There we go. And hopefully I have enough wood on this piece that I'll just be able to cut it down to size. snapped a little bit, but I don't really care too much. What I want is for this to be tight enough that it holds in place. Okay, I got one screw on each side I'm going to have to put together here. To do that, I'm going to put these, instead of those decking screws, these lattice screws that are also a Phillips head. Thankfully. No. These are a little bit smaller. Oh boy, gotta change my bib. Tight. There go my glasses. Alright. Let's see if this is going to go in properly. These things are 1 inch long, which is good because this 2x4 is 1.5 inches long. And it's in. So yeah, you're probably thinking like, wait, a 2x4, but it's 1.5 inches. What's the deal with that? Well, it's a very simple idea. These things, when they first were built, they actually were 2 inches long by 4 inches wide. But it seems like over time, what some engineers have figured out is that they're able to do the job without so much wood. So on each one of these sides, they've cut it off. So now a 2x4 is actually 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. There, that's in here. And for a little bit more stability, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, right by the fence post. So basically think of it this way too. A 4x4 is 3.5 by 3.5. Took me years before I learned the truth about it. Tight over here. Now one more side. Oops, lost me screw. Solid as a rock. But just to be sure, there's a hole on the underside of this too. So this is a perfect opportunity to get it even fully in place. Here we go. One more for good luck. Okay, I said one more for good luck, but now it's one more because I forgot the other side. Already making a difference. I'm liking it. But just to add a little bit more stability, because I only got a single 2x4 holding this in place, I'm going to get one more on the bottom. Small amount of chipping, but whatever. It's in tight. Now just to screw it in place. tight now. Despite all that, I still have one more piece of wood that was just laying around and kind of painted, but it's this. I think I'm going to use this to add a little extra support to it too. So I cut it so that it's going to be fitting properly all along the fence. Now, let me change my grips once again. Okay, one decking screw here. Tight. Alright, so just to recap, I just added another stake, 2 2x4s to give us a little bit of extra stability. I am noticing though that if anything is squeaking, it's going to be the one that's closest to the edge of my yard, but I feel like that I could get back to that later on to try to fix it up. So next thing I'm going to do is repair my lock. Once again, this is powder coated steel, so it's like a painted steel. What I'm going to be using instead is this one here. This one looks like it's made of galvanized steel, so definitely ideal for outdoors, because galvanized means it's going to be rust-proof. So, should probably get this thing detached. Yep, it's starting to rust. Probably better that I start to replace this thing. Great. I went from Robinson head on powder coated steel to galvanized steel and a Phillips head. How adorable. Phillips. This thing. Well, make my life a little bit easier, but that didn't work out. One more. Success. I think think my main problem that I did last time too was that when I was trying to align this, I wasn't actually keeping it close to see if it would be properly level with it. So then it would always scrape, but then it would always be sliding away. Alright. And I just have one more element left to do here. I have this one keychain loop with this piece of chain that I have, so I'm going to hook up over here. That way in case we ever have to open it from the back, or I guess the front in this case, because it is a back door. Just hook it up here, through the loop. Just do that. Alright, we're in. Then just have to pull it from the back like this. And then it should be good. Gotta give it a test. There we go. Much more solid. That was a lot more work than I expected it to be. But hey, it's never ending around here, especially when you have a house. Just when you think you're caught up, there's always something else that comes up or something else you gotta fix. I think it's time I should relax now. And that's how you go about doing a do-it-yourself fence repair / gate repair. Guess I'm gonna have to wait to see what I could do with these poles. These are actually leftovers from when I was building my railing on my deck. Because once again, how do you build a deck but not have a railing? That's gotta be against a lot of safety codes around here, and I imagine that's a potential lawsuit if somebody was actually gonna fall down on here. So yeah, originally I wanted to put these in and put them to use, but turns out that because of the height difference of these versus my stakes, it wasn't going to happen. I'm sure I'll find this for another use down the road later on. Needless to say, the long weekend is starting to come to a close, so I think I should be enjoying what I enjoy the most. Oh. Haha. Time to enjoy a nice yard brew before I get the fire started over here. So because of all my hard work, not just with my dill, with my fence, among other things too, because I like to keep busy around here. It keeps me occupied, keeps my brain stimulated. I'm going to do vieillerie. Vieillerie? That's a very strange word. Never heard that. I'm doing a Shelton now. And this one is their New England IPA. A nice tropical 7.5% fucker. And it says on the back that it recommends having it with l'agrément ami du Thai burgers. So you can have it both with friends and with Thai. Win-win for everyone. I already talked enough about my love of New England IPAs, so I don't have to repeat it again. But you know what? Sometimes I also enjoy having the strong thing in life. Nice, fruity, probably gonna hit me like a ton of bricks. Just as I deserved it. So let's do a taste before we wrap up the vlog. Yeah. That's exactly the way I like it. Strong, fruity, with a slight hint of hops. So, thanks for watching this next edition of the Wandering Ukie Cheese Cafe. Yep, if you like what you see, you got that subscribe button below to follow along for future content. Give this video a thumbs up if you like watching me work my ass off on the fence. And share this with anyone you think is going to enjoy it. Peace, y'all. I'm going to enjoy this before I set up my fire.